There are a lot of different factors and ways to kill white-tailed deer. And one of our favorites are with green fields. You see it through our videos and our TV shows, and we're going to take you through some of the tips and tactics that we use to actually kill a deer on different parts of the season or different times of the season on green. In addition to that, out with the old, in with the new. I had an opportunity to buy a new farm in Missouri, but to do that, I sold a couple farms that we've had so much luck on through the past. We're going to take you through all of that on this episode of Deer Season 24. You know, Missouri opens up ahead of Iowa. It opens up 9/15. Iowa's October 1, and we always look towards plant palatability, so therefore planting date is very important. We generally put Missouri in the ground first, and Iowa will come in second. But right now we're going to Missouri with Wade and Perry in Missouri as we try to get those seeds in the ground.
Well, here we go, we're underway. Perry's hooked up to the G8. I've got the fertilizer cart, and we're gonna try and double team it today. We got rain coming here in a couple days, so we're just gonna try and get all this stuff down here in Missouri in the ground, fertilized. We've used a bunch of different methods this year to try and clean up these fields, whether it be just straight spray, fertilized drill, or we've worked a few of them up, just that had a little bit more thatch on them, or old pasture ground that needed a little bit more fluffy type soil versus that hard compacted soil. So for some of our fields, we're low on pH, and we're gonna put 600 pounds of lime on. So we did one application of 300 pounds of Pell Lime, and then in this particular mix, we got another 300 pounds on the fields that have a low pH. So our mix, we always do kind of generic. It's a 150-60 with 10 pounds of boron and 2 or 3 pounds of zinc. So like I said, it's a good mix. We've done it for years. We've had our soil samples, and our guys at Nutrien, they kind of come up with this particular mix for us, and it's worked great over the years. So like I said, go out there, get your soil samples, and know exactly what type of fertilizer you need to put down. I'm gonna hop on the fertilizer buggy. Perry's gonna get on that G8, and we're gonna roll.
We got a new unit from PH, the G8 with a wheel kit. We ran a G8 last year that was all 3-point hook. It worked great, but these things are built so heavy and so rugged, it was a little heavy for our tractor. So we talked to Paul at PH Outdoors, and he hooked us up with one with a wheel kit. Now it's a drawbar hookup, which hooks right up to the 3-point that it would originally have as a 3-point hookup. It just pins on a drawbar, and then they add on this wheel kit, which is just, it's pretty simple. A few bolts here, each side, and some hydraulic hoses, and a ram on each side for the wheels, and you've got a drawbar hookup instead of a 3-point hookup. So I'm excited. The busy time of the season is here. I'm about to hook this up to the tractor, and we're gonna roll. Well, I just made a half pass around the edge of this field. I'm just trying to get my depth setting correct on that PH drill. Cool thing about those drills is you've got a depth control on the back at your closing wheel. Kind of holds the whole seed unit up. Each individual seed unit has a closing wheel, and it has individual depth settings. You can go from half all the way up to 2-inch. The ground is so hard right now and so dry. We haven't had rain in 2-3 weeks. So I'm trying to get depth where we end up at a 1/2 inch. Those drills are heavy. They do a really good job of cutting through grass and doing no-till work, but the ground is so hard that I'm setting at 1 inch to end up at 1/2 inch. Cool thing about this drill, you can change the depth setting on the fly with a pull of a pin on each row unit. So we're gonna keep rolling. As you guys just saw, we came out of that bottom field where I drilled radishes. It's a big clover field leading to radishes with a pinch point. It's actually a spot where Mark and myself killed a deer in Missouri last year. This spot is a spot that Wade loves to hunt early season. He's killed a few deer out of the blind behind me. They transition from the clover to the radishes and then go through this gap out into these bigger fields. But just 2 awesome spots that we utilize every year here in Missouri. It'll probably be dark by the time we're done, but we're gonna get them done today.
You know, there's a lot of different thought process that goes into any individual seed before it goes into the ground. We talk about food plot architecture, we talk about plant date, we're trying to target an individual deer or an individual time of the season with each of our plantings. Some farms hunt better during the early part of the season. Some farms hunt better during the rut, and some farms don't turn on until the latter part of the season. So we always try to think through that process and go, okay, is it a product that we want to perform better during the early part of the season? If it is, we're probably going to lean on deer radishes and or non-typical clover. If we're looking for something as we get into November, temperatures start to drop, we're probably still going to weigh heavily on clover. We'll go with a little bit bigger size field because it might come into play during a rifle season, and we'll go winter bulbs and sugar beets. And certainly, if the plan is for the latter part of the season, it is winter bulbs and sugar beets and clover with an emphasis on winter bulbs and sugar beets, and it's going to be a larger plot as opposed to a smaller plot because we want it to last through those snowfalls and into the latter part of the season. Some of the strategies that we use, if you have enough space to do it in, one of those fields Perry was working on there is an interior field. We've killed a lot of deer right at the line where we switch from radishes, deer radishes, to clover. We try to incentivize movement in front of that blind through that pinch point from one product to another. That works very well in a variety of different places, but you've got to have a big enough field to plant both products and both of them be able to sustain and have growth. Another thing that we do is try to plant big destination fields and then have an actual kill plot right next to that destination field. The other field he was working on was a top clover field. It's like 5 or 6 acres, and then we came in with about a ½ acre of deer radishes on one end. We're hoping that's going to pay off this year. We almost got it done last year. Myself and Perry were sitting there early on in the season and a big buck came up. We weren't quite prepared for him. It worked like a charm, the plan did. We just didn't close the deal and get the shot off, but it actually worked. This year, hopefully we have more rain and the field looks a little bit better this year. Other things that we try to do is we try to determine size based on population. If you have a heavy population of deer and you're trying to plant, say, a deer radish or winter bulb and sugar beet, chances are if you're planting in a 1/4 acre plot, they're going to browse that heavily when those plants first come up, and you're not going to have much of a green field there towards the end of the season. So you might want to either put a hot wire around it to preserve it, or try to put a product that's going to continue to grow like a cereal grain such as winter grass. We do that in a lot of different places. It's a very good product. Last Bite also fits very well for that. Another thing we do, if we're trying to establish a clover field the following year, we will plant Last Bite in the fall, add a full dose of clover, and then the next spring, all of those cereal grains come up, they shade out the weed competition for the clover, you go in and mow it, spray it, and that clover is going to bust out of the ground. It's a great way to establish a new clover field. Last Bite with a little clover mix. So if you think through what the deer pressure is going to be like, where the deer are coming from, how big your plot needs to be, you can end up making better decisions and have more arrows flying during the season. Got him, buddy. We just killed the fork buck. We just killed the fork buck, buddy. We just got him, buddy. Baby! Oh, man. Man, we've been waiting on that moment.
This segment of DoD TV is brought to you by Nutrient Ag Solutions, transforming agriculture and feeding the future. Here we go.
All right, Perry's getting ready to head into the new farm, but let's drift back and what led us to this particular piece of property. First of all, this was a tough decision. It came for sale, someone brought it to my attention, and it was a fairly large piece. In order to buy this piece, I had to sell some other land to make the deal happen. Well, I decided to sell my 143 bottom and the 97, two of our favorite farms, and it was a really tough decision, but I was able to take 2 farms and end up buying a little bit bigger farm with the proceeds from those farms. So we were like, okay, out with the old, in with the new. We really liked this area, and we were like, what can we do with this basically blank chalkboard? Here's a very nice sized piece of brush, probably a couple hundred acres, and 150 acres of tillable up on the top. We went in, walked the whole farm, and we identified a couple different places for food. One was a little bottom interior field that we really liked. Number one, a lot of existing cover. We're gonna burn that off.
Well, we just outlined the burn with the skid steer. We're gonna back burn this plot. This is a new plot for us, new farm. And we're gonna come in here, do a burn, get rid of the old thatch that's on top of this plot. So once the dozers come in and we get it correct, we don't have that old growth, and we can put in a new biologic plot here and hopefully bring you guys a big deer this fall, dead on a new plot, new burn, new farm.
Going up the other end, lighting it. I think you'll see the back burn real good, man. Look out for the head fire.
Number two, we've got some cedars to remove and some areas to open up. We're gonna build a wall with these cedars to help block visual and keep this plot a little bit more private.
Well, here it is, starting to get down to the latter part of March. We're taking all the cedars and other trees and gonna build a berm all the way along here, probably 10 foot high. So it gives this field a nice insulation and makes these deer feel safe. And we're gonna have an entrance on the far end up by the cedars. We're gonna cut a path through the cedars right to our blinds. So we got a little work here to do, but whenever it's done, it should be dialed.
It's a big cedar.
Are you all right? Well, after that little bit of a laugh, was able to rescue Perry. Looked like he was on a carnival ride. We're gonna finish building the wall. We just got a few cedars left, patch a few holes, finish building this. It's moving right along. Here we are midday on March 19th. So before we know it, it's gonna be a perfect little spot for a green field, hopefully filled up with deer come this fall.
We're putting a water hole in right here, and this is gonna be key because the blind's gonna be right there. We already, we did a rangefinder and used it to see that right on this side is gonna be about a 30-yard shot. The closer shot will be under 15. So we're trying to plan everything out. And it's always best to do water holes in the spring of the year. Here we are mid-March, where they will at least have a chance to fill in here with springtime rains. Pretty exciting to see everything coming together. I can't wait to see water in this, green out there, and the strut turkey or a big old buck using the food plot. Awesome project. We got really close down there one day with Henry, and we were excited to see the results already on this interior plot. The other thing we wanted to do was put a couple plots up on the big tillable. One of them's gonna be in the corner that the previous owner said most of the deer come out right here. So we planted a cornfield right there. If you go all the way to the south end of this tillable field, there's another spot that looks really good next to some big cover on the farm. I myself actually killed a turkey out in that tillable field, and we said, man, big corn out in the middle. What if we created a staging plot with an existing clover field that was already here, although not in great shape, went in, mowed it, sprayed it, fertilized it, and then we created another field that's gonna be winter grass leading out into this big tillable field. So we've got 3 different theories and 3 different spots set up. We have no idea what kind of deer live there, and we're just going based off our experience with other farms, how to set this particular farm up. Hopefully our results are good. We're gonna keep you posted throughout deer season 24. Next week, we're gonna show you a giant green field, probably 4 or 5 acres in size, and Perry makes it happen on an absolute giant in Missouri. That's one thing about green. If you've got a big plot, you put the right product in. If it's still there in December, man, is it a magnet, especially if you don't have snow cover. That's coming at you next week on deer season 24. It's a giant.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of Dream Season Live is brought to you by MOTV. For access to all our Drury Outdoors TV shows, head over to the MOTV app today.